Yeah, Wendy, and your feeling is sadly something that the numbers over the past decade are really backing up here. According to the nonprofit Kaiser Family Foundation, back in 2011, there were 1.8 firearm-related deaths per 100,000 children and adolescents in the U.S. You can see that kind of remained steady there until 2015, and that's when that rate began growing at a faster pace until it actually doubled to 3.6 deaths per 100,000. That was back in 2021. Now, during that time, firearms became the leading cause of death among children 19 and younger. In fact, 7 children per day died from a firearm back in 2021. And breaking that down by ethnicity, black youth accounted for 46% of all children killed by guns in 2021, despite only making up 14% of the childhood population.
So the resounding question now remains, how do we fix this problem? Tonight, ABC Action News reporter J.J. Burton is taking a deeper look at this growing issue, finding out what local nonprofit groups are doing to protect kids and how Tampa police and city leaders are stepping in to keep them safe.
At 5, that's the number of shootings law enforcement across the Bay Area responded to over the weekend.
It's absolutely shocking.
The ages involved in 2 of those shootings, 12, 14, and 15 years old. The 12-year-old died. It's a growing concern across the Bay Area and the country.
And as a father, it pains me because I know that there are mothers and fathers who don't have their loved ones with them right now.
Freddie Barton has 2 sons. He's also the executive director of Safe and Sound Hillsborough.
We feel that we're moving the needle. We think that everything's working fine. And then if something like this happens and we see the rapid rate of shootings that are happening, we know that we've got so much more work to do.
The organization works with kids who are in trouble with the law. The crimes range from possession of marijuana to grand theft auto and shootings. Instead of those kids going behind bars, they're assigned to Safe and Sound for 30 to 90 days.
Those who are brought in by court order for gun or weapon-related charges, we're keeping them over 6 months, and we're tracking them for an additional 6 months. In addition to that, we provide pairing with mentors and attorney ad litems to help them navigate through the system. We also know that we cannot talk about gun violence unless we talk about mental health and mental wellness. So we provide mental health first aid trainings for free to individuals and organizations.
Barton says they just launched a youth gun offenders program. They go to hospitals, morgues, courtrooms, and even talk directly to families of shooting victims.
We're trying to get these young individuals to understand that it is not just about your choices, it's the consequences of your choices. You can't get that life back. You can't get your old life back if you commit these offenses.
Safe and Sound started back in 2013. Less than 20% of the kids they work with are repeat offenders. But Safe and Sound can't do it alone. There's other organizations helping as well, like the Tampa Bay Academy of Hope. And they work with about 500 kids a year. And these are people who are either dropped out of school or are in the justice system.
Our goal is always to keep them from going deeper into the system.
Executive Director Tatiana Lamb says hearing about the shootings over the weekend is difficult, but it makes her want to work even harder.
That we need to do as much as we can, and we need to reach out and put our arms around as many children that we can put our arms around so that we can, one, give them hope.
It also takes cooperation between police and the community.
I do encourage the Tampa Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, though, to get involved. We try to work with them and partner with them so that young people understand that the police are there to help them.
In Tampa, J.J. Burton, ABC Action News.
And at a press conference last week, Tampa police touted their work in joint efforts with other agencies, arresting close to 100 people in connection to violent crime all across the city. The department also just received funds from a $1.5 million grant that they plan to use towards providing services for violence prevention, creating more safe spaces, and look into the effectiveness of the police department's crime reduction programs.
Going further in depth on this now, I wanted to look at the gun laws in Florida and what's required if you have children and you own a firearm. So earlier I spoke to a gun expert attorney about the Florida statute that's called a safe storage of firearms law. It requires any gun owner to keep the weapon in a secure and safe location away from children if they live in the home.
It says that a person who stores or leaves on premises under his or her control a loaded firearm and who reasonably knows or reasonably should know that a minor is likely to gain access to the firearm without the lawful permission of the parents or without supervision can be charged with a second-degree misdemeanor.
Friday also explained to me Florida does not have a gun registry, and the main way law enforcement tracks a weapon is by the serial number on the gun. And they can track it from the day the manufacturer gives it to a licensed dealer and the last person the weapon is sold to.